Hi, you have tuned into the Raging Aggron Channel, and I'm your host, Djingis, and I'm here with another draft recap from the PSL Season 2 draft, and today we're going to go through, in this episode we're going to go through the Silver Division, the 4 teams in that division: the Carolina Lyson Rocks, Florida Flagons, Baltimore Blastoise, and Galveston Gardevoirs. There are 4 new teams, but only 3 new coaches. It'll be very interesting to see how they play in this division. First out, we have the Carolina Lyson Rocks with Matrix at the coach, and Matrix does have a YouTube, so go follow him. He has an interesting squad that I like. I don't like the Dragon type, and if you've been around since Season 1 of the PSL, you will understand why, but I don't like the Dragon type as. But he has Tapu Koko, Ferrothorn, Umbreon, Emboar, Mesprit, Armoldo, Mega Blastoise, Garchomp, Tornadus, Therian, Weezing, Frostlass, and Linoone. This is a scary team, if anything. Like, Tapu Koko just hits like a truck no matter what you do. Ferrothorn can eat almost every single hit. Umbreon does the same as Ferrothorn. Emboar deals tremendous amount of damage. Mesprit can eat hits pretty well. And those times it does not eat a hit, it tends to be more offensive, and then it can actually deal some damage back. Armoldo is a spinner and a rock setter, same Mesprit is also rock setter. I think Ember gets rocks, Ferrothorn should get rocks, so has a lot of rock setting. Armoldo is a very, very good wall on the physical side, but lacks a lot on the special side, and has a tendency to get worn down. Has also access to Swift Swims, is a counter to the rains that we can face in these leagues. Mega Blastoise is another counter to rain, of course. Great Mega, it really is. Another rapid spinner, very, very bulky, very hard to take down, hits like a truck as well. Garchomp is fast, hits hard, but I used Garchomp in PSL Season 1 and I am no fan of it. It did not do as well as I thought. So, well, it's not for me, but it should be for anyone else. Feel free to try it, but I'm no man of Garchomp. I don't like Garchomp, at least not in drafting format. I might try it again later on, but it will take a while before I do that. Tornadus Therian is just bulky, and it can do a lot. It really can. I mean, we all know what it does. Weezing is a bulky toxic spike setter. Frostlass, well, fast density bond user, and then we have Linoone, Belly extreme speed, bye. The speed test is really good, in my opinion. A lot of months over 100, and even in the 100s it's pretty diverse. Below 100 it's not the best, but since you have so many in the 100 spot, you actually tend to outspeed almost every single Scarfer that you can face. And thanks to Linoone having that strong priority in extreme speed, you don't really need to have a lot of Pokemon in the 80s and 90s. But this is it's a good team overall. It's well balanced. Has a very good Fairy Dragon Steel core, even if I'm no fan of the Garchomp. The Firewater Grass core is it's workable. The only thing that makes this Firewater Grass core a bit on the lackluster side is because of the Fire type. Ember is not the best Fire type in Firewater Grass core, even if it hits like a truck. But Mega Blastoise and Ferrothorn is one of, well, I would say that this is one of the best that's 2 of the best to have in Firewater Grass core. I think the best I've seen and the best I will ever use most likely would be Infernape, Manaphy, and Mega Venusaur Sporeless for the DBA. But this Firewater Grass core is actually pretty good. Looking at its attacking powers in this team, it's kind of mixed a lot. Most of the physical attackers can be special attackers, most of the special attackers can be physical attackers. It makes it pretty hard for the opponent to prep in a certain way. Even if you most of the time will run special Mesprit, will run special Tornadoes, you still have an opportunity to run physical Mesprit and physical Tornadoes, and you might actually be able to do it and hit like a truck, because they're pretty effective mons to do that with. But that is the Carolina Lice and Rocks. Let's go into the next team, that is the Florida Flagons. Florida Flagons, coached by Dan the Man, new coach for the season, same as Matrix, but does not have YouTube, of course. This team, I don't really know what to do with this team. When I look at it, I just see bulk. I see no offense except for the Mega. And then it has 2 other picks that is pretty offensive, but I still don't see that real offensive Pokemon. He has Landorus, Therian, Cresselia, Meloetta, Silvally, Togedemaru, Furfrou, Mega Medichan, Mew, Braviary, Slurpuff, Escavalier, and Gastrodon. It's a bulky team, like no doubt about that. But it lacks, like its most useful offensive member here is Silvally, and since it can get stabbed on every single type, that's the only reason it's that good for him. Meloetta is also pretty good to have on his team. Like, Meloetta is his only Pokemon that can actually hit like a tracker without being defensive. Sure, Landorus hits offensive and is very, very offensive indeed, but tends to be more bulky as to take hits. But on this team, he might not run defensive Lando and can actually go max out with Lando, which would hurt a lot of teams. But if you just go with the standard sets, you have Mega Medichan and then you have Braviary and Slurpuffs. That is your offensive core together with Meloetta. Not the best defensive core. Of course, you can do a lot of other things with this team. Like Coalmine Cresselia is always a problem. Pretty sure that Togedemaru gets some form of setup on the physical side. Escavalier is great in the Trick Room if you ever decide to do that, because this team can actually do the Trick Room pretty well. So it has both Escavalier and Gastrodon to actually abuse in Trick Room, because Gastrodon, believe it or not, is actually pretty useful in Trick Room. But Escavalier is just brutal in Trick Room. So it's a good team, and it also has pretty interesting speed tiers. They all cramped about between 91 and 102, so it's not a very fast team, and most of the team isn't in that spot. Like, if you bring one Scarfer off, you will be faster than everything on his team, unless he has Scarfers. And having his fastest one at base 102 is a bit of a problem when you're actually going to team prep, because you would see you bringing like 2 or 3 Scarfers every single week unless you go very, very bulky. But it's an interesting team composition. I think it could do well for him, but at the same time, it lacks too much offense to actually be worth the time, in my opinion. Every single Pokemon is good on their own in this team, but I don't think they will work together. I don't see Firewater Grass core unless I am blind. There's no Firewater Grass core. There is no Fairy Dragon Steel core either. He has Slurpuff and he has Togedemaru and he has a Escavalier, but it doesn't have a Dragon type. So like, he has no of the common cores, which makes him very, very vulnerable to a lot of moves. And like I said, Cresselia is like the glue for this team. Cresselia and Gastrodon would be the glue for this team to actually keep the team together. I don't have anything else here to add, really, so let's go to the next team. That's the Baltimore Blastoise, coached by Dave Wolf, a new coach as well. He has a scary team that can be very, very hard to... It's very, very hard to deal with overall. It has so many offensive tools that could be overpowering you pretty easy. He has the Latios, Hippowdon, Jolteon, Uxie, Swellow, Kecleon, Megasissy, Azumarill, Serperior, Chandelure, Alolan Persian, and Terrakion. I gotta say that this is a very interesting team, and like I said, Uxie is just bulk, Hippowdon is only bulk, Megasissy will most likely be bulk on this team, Alolan Persian has great bulk, and then you add offensive power, Latios, Swellow. I didn't say Swellow before I did say anything else. Jolteon is better offensive than Swellow in my opinion. But then you have Superior, Chandelure, Terrakion, and then you have a random Azumarill. I'm no fan of Azumarill. Sure, it is a good Pokemon if you can use it, but yeah, I wouldn't go to say that it's a really great Pokemon. But of course, if you can use it, more power to you. Have fun with it. This is a sand setting team with a Powdon that doesn't really rely on sand. Sand can be pretty useful for Mega Scissor because I'm pretty sure that sand boosts Steel's special defense. It might only be rock though, but I'm pretty sure it does boost the special defense of Scissor, which could be pretty useful. Terrakion can always get help with extra bulk because it's not the best to have their Terrakion. But overall, this team has a lot of bulk and a lot of good Pokemon that can use the bulk well. Also having some also having Wish on Jolteon can actually help out with the lower HP mons. Kecleon is just a monster to have thanks to Protean and color change. They can actually be pretty neat in team prep. Superior, even if its stats is pretty mediocre, like its speed is phenomenal, and thanks to Contrary, Superior hits like a truck. Of course, if the Leaf Storms connects. The only thing I see here that could be a bit of a problem for him is actually the combined power of EQ Spam and Electric Spam. Nothing on his team can really take care of both of them. Mega Scissor can, of course. Alolan Persian should be able to eat some. But otherwise, his team is extremely weak. Well, Yuxi as well. So Yuxi, Mega Scissor, and Alolan Persian. But other than that, his team is very, very frail to those types of attacks, unless he's great at predictions. But of course, as we said in the Discord most teams are weak to Bolt Beam. And this isn't really Bolt Beam. This is more... Actually, it is Bolt Beam as well, but especially Beam EQ. Beam EQ is the big problem for this team. But other than that, it could be useful. And the more I look into it, Bolt Beam weakness is actually sticking out more the more you look at it. So yeah. But at the same time, if you know how to play with these Pokemons, and if you're a good prepper, if you're a good battler, then the Bolt Beam weakness or the EQ weakness or whatever you have for weakness doesn't really matter unless it's a glaring 4x weakness to like 4 for Pokemon to the same move. That can happen. But it's an interesting team. When you just look at it, you see the power, the offensive power rather than defensive. Forget that it actually has a pretty defensive Pokemon that does a lot. But with that said, let's go to the last team in this division, and that is the Galveston Godwars, coached by Mimikyu, the ABL Season 2 champion, and also a runner-up, I think it was. I don't remember where it finished in PSL Season 1. I think it was second round of playoffs, not 100% sure, but I think it was. He has a team that's very, very offensive, but also has a good amount of bulk. Even if it's not the typical bulk you would see, it still has a good amount of bulk. You have Celesteela, Nihilego, Incineroar, Godvar, Walrein, Frogadier, Megalatios, Mamoswine, Surgery, Livani, Kurum, and Zygarde 10%. This team has everything except a great, reliable physical attacker. For me, Mamoswine is not a reliable physical attacker, and Celesteela tends to be more especially offensive than physical offensive. Then you only have Incineroar left. And Incineroar and Zygarde 10% isn't really the best offensive Pokemons. Even if they can hit hard, I would like to see another great physical attacker on this team. It has a very, very good specially offensive core, of course. Together, when it has Nihilego and Circuitry, you can't really say anything else. It also has the webs in Livani. Defog in Kurum, I think. Not 100% sure about that. Overall, the hazard removal is pretty limited on this team. I think that's the only thing. I don't even know if Krum gets defog. That might just be me rambling. But yeah, overall, this team it lacks a bit of physically offensive pressure, and that can be a bit of a problem. The speed tiers is, in my opinion, pretty good. There are a lot of uneven numbers between the normal 10 and 5s that you see all the time. They're also pretty well spread around. From base 60 up to base 115, it isn't like most of the team actually covers every single step up to that base 150, which is pretty incredible. And it makes it pretty hard for anyone to bring Scarf as far as you, because you can always just put Scarf and anything else and outspeed. Also have the opportunity in this here to actually make use of Protean Frigadier. I'm pretty sure Frigadier gets Protean at least, and that is then you may have that 83 special attack. It's not the best, but it gets actually pretty good when you have the Protean. And once more, it's a special attacker. Wolverine is good bulky water ice. For its tier, it's pretty good, but it could still have been a better bulky water. If you wanted water ice, then you still had Lapras in the tier 5. I don't know if it's taken in this draft pool or not. But yeah, you can do a lot of things with this team, but you really need to be used to all of the members of the team, and you really have to know what they are doing and what roles they will have. I feel like this is a team where we will see a lot of trades and drops after a few weeks, and it will have a completely different look after that. But as of right now, this team lacks a bit on the physical side. It really does. And the bulk is overall pretty decent. Walrein and Mammothrain and Curemole has pretty high HP stats together with Nihilego. But the defensive stats, he only has one Pokemon that is over 100 in the physical defense stat, and he has way more. Well, he has two actually. He has Celesteela and Latios, Mega Latios. But on the special side, he has 4, and that means that his team is it's very, very special looped. So you can really abuse him on the physical side, and that is a bit of a problem when you are in Draftling format, because if you face a strong physical attacker, you won't have a good time. I'm just gonna say that. But yeah, these are the 4 teams here. If I would have to predict who would go where, I would say that Baltimore Blastoise and the Carolina Lycanrocs will finish top, and Florida Flagons and Galveston Gardevoirs would go out. That is just based on teams, nothing on how good they are at battling, just the teams themselves. I think that Galveston Gardevoirs have a chance to go through to the playoffs, but it really depends on how Mimikyu plays with the team and the composition he has. But with that said, thank you for watching this video, guys. And there will be 2 others up today, and I will see you then.